Welcome to Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Let's take a look at the headlines. Government hosts its annual luncheon for the media. The Caribbean expected to benefit from a refocused regional approach by the IDB. And the HMS Lancaster arrives in Trinidad as part of their deployment in the Caribbean. Thank you for joining us. The relationship between journalists and governments has always been a tricky one. In some countries, there's even war between the two groups. But in this country, a precedent has been set by the People's Partnership government, where both would off their gloves for a few hours and enjoy some time together. This was the case today as government hosted its annual luncheon for the media.
The ballroom of the Diplomatic Centre St. Anne's was transformed today into an exquisite dining hall where the Honourable Prime Minister Kamla Bissessar and her cabinet ministers hosted the local media to the PM's annual media luncheon. Both groups had fun chatting and enjoying a meal and even lauded each other for the stance they've each taken on certain issues. But the day was also special for another reason. The Honourable Prime Minister officially received her Democracy Medal, which was awarded to her last week by the 46th World Conference of the International Association of Political Consultants, IAPC, during an event in Antigua. The Prime Minister, who did not attend the award ceremony last week due to a heavy work schedule at home, had sent a written letter of thanks, which was read to the participants attending the gala event. Today, a member of the IAPC, Matthew Macmillan, presented the award to the Prime Minister. As she accepted her certificate, the Prime Minister said she was honoured to share the moment with her cabinet and the nation's media.
Today I feel very honoured, very humbled as I stand side by side with my sister from Jamaica, the Honourable Portia Simpson Miller, as both of us are recipients of this Democracy Medal 2013 from the International Association of Political Consultants. As I welcome you all here to the DIP Centre and congratulate my sister, Prime Minister Simpson Miller, I am also very delighted to be able to share this moment with colleagues as well as members of our nation's media. I think it's a very important moment for us. It is a day when our combined dedication to defending and strengthening liberties and freedoms is given global prominence, allowing us a chance to showcase how harmony in diversity can become a reality. And so it is also a day when we look back at the long walk since independence in 1962 and celebrate our national heroes for being the ones who laid the foundations upon which our very powerful democracy stands.
The IAPC awards its Democracy Medal to an individual or organization who, in the judgment of its membership, has worked courageously to foster, promote and sustain the democratic process anywhere in the world. Felicia Wilson-Moore, News 4.
Well, the Caribbean is expected to benefit from a refocused regional approach by the Inter-American Development Bank. This will ensure that the regional member states of the bank receive funding and assistance with great priority.
The Inter-American Development Bank launched its high-level private sector mission on Thursday with an opening breakfast meeting. The two-day mission seeks to strengthen the relationship between the IDB and Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean by extension. According to the IDB's Caribbean Executive Director, the bank is undergoing a process of reorganizing its 4 private sector lending windows.
We have been challenged to engage with each other for a variety of reasons, and I think the opportunity today brings a starting point to look at the issues of why we have been challenged and look at how we can work around those issues to change the challenge to success.
Minister of Planning and Sustainable Development, Dr. the Honourable Bohidra Tiwari, in his opening contributions, noted that the general feeling is that there is not enough private sector lending in the Caribbean.
The cluster diversification that we mentioned in the 7 areas, we would expect that any kind of intervention that you make to finance businesses would be linked to that. Secondly, that you would support the geographical diversification thrust that I mentioned. Thirdly, that you would support innovation-led growth for diversification as well as expansion of markets. Fourthly, that you would fuel new entrepreneurship and new business creation, because we need that to proliferate in our country. And then finally, remember, our goal is to create an innovation-led knowledge economy. So the value-adding industries are going to be of primary concern for us.
Minister of Finance and the Economy, Senator the Honorable Larry Hawaii, noted that in the Caribbean there were low demands for credit. He added that this may have been as a result of low innovation, development and entrepreneurship. Among the many areas in which he believes the IDB can assist the region, he called on the bank to look at the ways in which it can aid in budget deficits. Similar sentiments were shared by the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank regarding the low demand for credit.
We do have a situation characterized by very high liquidity in the banking system currently. What does that mean? It means that, broadly speaking, the banks and the financial institutions have funds. They have funds available, and for whatever reason, we have the private sector not taking up that credit. So if you look at business credit over the last 6 months, has actually been declining on a year-on-year basis, and it's something that is concerning us at the central bank, because we want to make sure that credit is out there, that it is not going into speculative things, but it is going into productive investment.
The general feeling was that the breakfast meeting was successful and can lead to a number of positive developments.
I think it was an excellent opportunity for the government to put its case on the table in terms of new development initiatives, particularly with respect to the role that the private sector can play. Both the Minister of Finance and the Minister of Planning outlined very clearly what the government initiatives, what the government objectives are. And I think what was critical and what was important was the information provided by the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank, who outlined some very key initiatives that I think that are important, particularly for private sector development.
I think the meeting was certainly a success. The stated objectives was to bridge the gap between the engagement of the Inter-American Development Bank, Trinidad and Tobago, and the Caribbean as a whole. The bank is currently in the process of reorganizing all its private sector lending windows. We understand that private sector-led growth is important for this country and important for the rest of the Caribbean. And we took this opportunity and this initiative to have an open and frank engagement and discussions with Minister Tiwari, who's the governor for Trinidad and Tobago at the Inter-American Development Bank, supported by Minister Hawaii.
The executive director listed some of the other sessions and events that would take place as the IDB continues on its mission.
Today was just laying the foundation and the context for the rest of the dialogue we're going to have over the next 2 days, where we meet with those who shape the policy with respect to private sector-led growth and private sector lending. We'll meet with the business community to understand from them their private sector needs and their borrowing needs. We would meet with the finance and banking institutions to understand the role that they play within this economy and within the broader Caribbean, and bringing the three aspects of policy, business, and finance together with the issues that we are thinking about and we are deliberating upon in terms of restructuring the IDB's private sector lending windows, all in an effort to develop very focused and cooperative solutions between the bank and between the government and between the bank and between the wider Caribbean in terms of scaling up the bank's private sector lending operations to meet the growth and development needs of Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean region.
Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, former mayors show commitment to the further development of San Fernando. Stay with us. Government is spending millions to boost the local aquaculture industry. This, the Honorable Devant Maharaj, Minister of Food Production, says is evident in the number of feed centres his ministry has commissioned within the last few months. The latest facility to be commissioned by the minister was the Aquaculture Hatchery Training and Extension Facility at the Sugarcane Feed Centre.
The Honorable Devant Maharaj, Minister of Food Production, commissioned the Aquaculture Hatchery Extension and Training Facility at the Sugarcane Feed Centre on Wednesday, telling workers that since the People's Partnership got into office in May 2010, the administration has been working tirelessly towards fostering agriculture with a right policy framework, a targeted focus on identified challenges and encouragement to farmers. He said aquaculture will produce more fish in the future to meet growing demands while stimulating the local and West Indian export markets.
And we have been working assiduously in order to fulfill the promises that was made so long ago, where we identified that agriculture with the right policy framework, a targeted focus on identified challenges and encouragement to farmers, a promise made in our manifesto in 2010. And it is through this ethos that the Ministry of Food Production continues to engage in a significant amount of work to ensure that the creation of an enabling environment for the nation farmers, be it in agriculture, aquaculture, and so many other areas. The Ministry of Food Production drafted an action plan 2012 to 2015, and aquaculture was highlighted as a strategic commodity, as mentioned by previous speakers.
In addition to creating sustainable employment, Minister Maharaj says aquaculture will also help reduce the food import bill.
The FAO states that in the face of a stagnating global capture fishery production and increasing population, aquaculture is perceived as having one of the greatest potentials to produce more fish in the future to meet growing demands for safe and quality aquatic foods. Aquaculture is projected to produce more than 40% of the world's fishery requirements by 2015. With a food import bill of almost $4 billion in 2010 and a heavy reliance on imported fish and fishery products, frozen tilapia in particular, this administration set out to increase production to 457 tons over a 5-year period.
Minister Maharaj says the tilapia and cascadura hatcheries commissioned at the Sugarcane Feed Centre would have the capacity to supply a projected 50% of the fingerlings needed to meet the 2050 national tilapia target and reverse the decline of Trinidad and Tobago's natural and farm supplies of cascadura. Felicia Wilson-Mon, News 4.
San Fernando has come a long way since it became a municipality in 1845 and then a city in 1988. As the city crosses one milestone and looks toward another, former mayors, ministers and residents are showing their commitment to the city's further development.
San Fernando is this year celebrating its 160th anniversary as a municipality and its 25th anniversary as a city. On Monday evening, a civic interfaith service of thanksgiving and reception was held at the San Fernando City Hall Auditorium. Former mayors of the city of San Fernando were recognized for their contributions to the development of the city. They included Marlene Kudry, Dr. Ramesh Muthu, Ian Atherley, Kenneth Ferguson, and Dr. Navi Muradali. The city's babies were also recognized. Nizelle Waldron and Tamika Johnson Bishop were both born on November 18, 1988, when San Fernando received city status. Former Mayor of San Fernando and current Minister of Local Government, the Honorable Marlene Kudry, congratulated the new mayor and council.
I have the honor to stand here and really let you know that you have my full support as Minister of Local Government, that at the local level you really do not need politics. You need to look after people's interests, people who you see on a daily basis, people who interface with you. As you come out your door, you see them, and there's really no room for politics at the local government level. It's about service, it's about delivery, it's about camaraderie, It's about really looking after people.
The Honourable Minister called on burgesses to support the city's mayor and council. Meanwhile, His Worship, the Mayor of San Fernando, noted that there are always challenges, but he expects to overcome them to the benefit of the city.
The challenges that lie ahead are many. However, collectively, as a strong and committed community, we can overcome obstacles as we seek to build a brighter future for our children and ourselves. I urge all our citizens to believe in us, your new council. Believe also that we can do this together. Let us join together, citizens, administration, and council, to keep the city of San Fernando on a path of peaceful progress and forward-looking development over the next 2 to 3 years.
The mayor called on the city's businessmen to join with the city council in decorating the entire city by means of decorating their own premises in the spirit of Christmas, and also as a means of brightening the lives of the city's children and senior citizens. He also urged burgesses to strive to make San Fernando the capital of education, healthcare, and happiness, where all residents contribute and work for one another. The event was used to hand over checks to the Hope Center and the Mothers Union Home as funds were raised in 2010 and 2011 through the mayor's charity events. These funds were recently released by the council after the decision was taken at the council's first meeting. The funds will go a long way in assisting those at both institutions. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
When we come back, Wayne Cunningham chats with George Bovell III. Stay with us. George Bovell III had another fantastic year in the pool, with the climax being a gold medal in the 100 meters individual medley at the FINA Short Course World Cup, as well as 2 bronze medals at a FINA World Championship in the men's 50 meters freestyle long course final. While Bovell is back home for some rest and recuperation, well deserved, before ending his season in Europe this December. Wayne Cunningham sat down with the Olympian and spoke about a hectic 2013.
If you are to judge from the success of his 2013 season, George Bovell III looks destined for the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Here's the year so far, according to the 4-time Olympian.
I took January off. I did the swim clinics where I brought down some international Olympic medalists to kind of share their knowledge and inspire the youth of Trinidad and Tobago in swimming. And that's a free swim clinic, and I'm hoping to do that again this coming January. And then I took January, February to kind of recover, get some base fitness, base strength, and then build upon that. And then I went to compete, where I was invited to defend my title in the Jack's 50 Challenge. And that's a series of one-on-one races for TV in the 50-yard freestyle. I faced down the Olympic silver medalist in the final. That's Colin Jones, and I beat him. So I defended my title 2 years in a row. I went to Uganda. I went and did this initiative against malaria and drowning, because in this country, unfortunately, a lot of people die of malaria, and people are just afraid of the water, and they never go by the water, and when they do end up in the water, they drown, very high rates of drowning. So we kind of trying to raise awareness and help some people. And it was a new thing for me, very gratifying, something I would like to do in the future. We're talking about going back to Uganda this year. I won the Canada Cup. I won 3 races there in Montreal. And then I had a little bit of a strain. I didn't go to the Paris Open. Then I came into Barcelona, and I won the bronze medal in the 50 meters freestyle. I beat the Olympic champion. It was the greatest final ever assembled, with everybody having Olympic medals. And I went a time in that final in Barcelona to win the bronze medal that would have won the silver medal in London. So it was very satisfying. For me, that medal it's really a triumph of just the will and everything I've overcome, the injuries in my knee, my brain, everything in the years coming up to that. And then I kind of got back to a state of base training, and as I didn't have a main competition until the Commonwealth Games this summer, I took it upon myself to take the challenge again of the FINA World Cup, which took me to Moscow, Dubai, Qatar, Singapore, Tokyo, and Beijing, and just constant racing. It was a real challenge, a big struggle at times. And there, if you combine it with the first two competitions of the World Cup that were in August, I won a total of 13 medals.
Bovell is coached by the Minister of Sport, Arnold Roberts, and even with his busy schedule, Bovell cherishes the input.
He has taught me a lot, and also when you're now at this stage with my career where I believe I can coach myself, I understand how to structure a season, I understand what I need to do, and I've learned a lot about my body, what I need, when I need it, do I need more rest, do I need more work. It's always good to have a person I can really trust and I can really bounce ideas off of. And when this person gives me feedback, they know me as the athlete they have coached from a young age, to really give me that intuitive feedback, because it's as much of an art as it is a science. And it's one of the people that I always like to bounce ideas off of. He was with me at the World Championships, great asset, brings a lot of energy, and it helps me to, he understands me, and we have this good relationship, and it really helps to bring the best out of me. Even though he's very busy as a minister and he's not actually hands-on coaching me, it's a person I go to for advice, and when it really counts, I like to have him around.
Bovell is determined to compete at the 2016 Olympic Games, but there are some skeptics, despite the 2013 success.
Hey, you know, haters are going to hate. Some people love to hate. And maybe it's because they're just unhappy in their state of the position and place they are in their lives, that they resent people who are working hard and doing their best. And like, we all watch cricket. We like Chris Gayle. He's fantastic. Chris Gayle is 36 years old. Yeah. I don't know where this mentality and this small island view that 30 years is old. A man's real prime in sport is in his 30s. Look at professional basketball. Look at American football. Football even. I mean, to give you an idea, in the World Championship final I was just in Barcelona, 4 guys over 30. 33, 32, 32, and me at 30. And some of my biggest rivals, like Colin Jones from America, also 30. Ryan Lochte will be turning 30 this year.
Enough said. See you in Rio. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Moving away from sport, the HMS Lancaster arrived in Trinidad on Wednesday as part of their deployment in the Caribbean. During its berth in Trinidad and Tobago waters, crew members are expected to participate in a number of counter-narcotic training exercises, as well as humanitarian aid to communities. Fresh from disembarking the vessel, Commanding Officer Steve Morehouse visited the St. James Military Cemetery to pay respect and remember fallen officers who served during World War II as part of Global Memorial Day observances continued.
The HMS Lancaster coming into Trinidad and Tobago waters as it makes its way to the shore at the Port of Spain port. One of the British Royal Navy's Duke-class warships will be here for 6 days, during which they will take part in mission works that aid in building communities, as well as conduct joint training exercises with the Coast Guard. The visit is part of their deployment in the Caribbean and is also the last stop in the region after having visited all 6 Commonwealth territories here in the Caribbean. In between the Lancaster's counter-narcotics patrols, she has visited numerous Commonwealth and Caribbean countries in order to conduct regional defense engagement. Spearheaded by the HMS Lancaster's commanding officer, Commander Steve Morehouse, the Royal Navy sees this as an opportunity to train other navies, as well as demonstrate the Royal Navy's continued commitment to the region, while renewing this country's ties with the UK and strengthening existing friendships. Crew members were greeted by officials from the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, as well as the British High Commission, including Deputy High Commissioner Susan Curtis. First on its agenda, soon from disembarking the vessel, members of the Royal Navy visited the St. James Military Cemetery, where they paid homage to the men who fought in the Second World War. The visiting crew toured the cemetery, where they inspected the headstones of the fallen servicemen from around the Commonwealth and beyond that lined the cemetery. Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Brown, British Defence Advisor for the Caribbean, remembered the fallen, followed by a moment of silence and a traditional bugle call.
The going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember that.
The 50-year-old ceremonial bugle is one of this country's military artifacts bestowed by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in 1963 when the TTDF won the Silver Bugle competition. The Silver Bugle bears the engraving of names of buglers who have in the past won the competition. Following the last post, Commander Steve Morehouse then laid a wreath at the cenotaph. The crew members are expected to engage in a number of activities during their visit, including friendly rugby, football and cricket matches against members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force on Sunday at the Queen's Park Oval. Kimberly Ram-Calawan, News 4.
Well, on that note, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Nicola Barito. Thank you so much for joining us.